A wide shot of a dog, a large friendly breed, sitting inside a cozy but slightly rustic home, surrounded by shed hair on the floor and focused intently on a worn toy. The dog is looking happy and panting slightly despite the suggestion of cold weather outside the window. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting. A high contrast, black and white photograph showing a frantic search scene near a tree line. Several men, identifiable as search and rescue personnel, wearing classic uniforms or rugged coats, are gathered, consulting maps. The focus is on two trained working dogs straining at their leashes, but their faces show confusion or frustration as they attempt to track a missing subject. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting. An eerie, dimly lit shot of an old, boxy sedan, representing the missing elderly man's car, parked awkwardly and alone on the dirt shoulder of a deserted rural road near a thick forest line. The car hood is slightly ajar. Focus on the desolate environment and the stillness of the vehicle. The scene should feel like a forgotten clue. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting. An old photograph showing an interior of a rustic, wood-paneled hunting cabin in northern Michigan. A rough-looking elderly man, the letter sender, with a gray beard sits beside a fireplace, looking pensive. A mysterious middle-aged woman, the NDE woman, with a distinct, slightly odd appearance is sitting opposite him, leaning forward as if sharing a deep secret. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting. A dark, atmospheric shot of the same elderly man and the mysterious middle-aged woman sitting near a campfire outside their cabin, their faces illuminated by the firelight. In the deep shadows of the pine trees, about 15 yards away, a small ethereal orb of light, golf ball sized, is captured gliding silently between the tree trunks. The woman looks calm, the man looks astonished. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting. A split-frame image, like a double exposure, showing two distinct scenes. On the left, a dark bathroom interior where a large, cylindrical white orb is discharging tiny electrical flashes near a window. On the right, a deep black sky where a perfect, bright, basketball-sized orb is captured streaking rapidly across the face of a large, full moon. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting. A vintage photograph of a dark, forested mountain ridge, Chestnut Ridge. In the middle distance, a bright, unidentifiable ball of light hangs motionless in the sky, clearly visible against the clouds. In the foreground, a tall, dark, silhouetted bipedal figure, Bigfoot/cryptid, is partially obscured by the shadows of the trees, watching the light. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting. An unsettling indoor scene showing a child's bedroom late at night. The clock on the wall shows hands moving in reverse or blurring. In the corner of the room, a shadowy, indistinct human-like figure, shadow entity, stands motionless, watching the child in bed, who is covered and appears distressed. A stern-faced, middle-aged woman, the retired sheriff sergeant, is standing in the doorway, observing the scene. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting. A highly dramatic, almost impressionistic interior shot of a dark bedroom. Two glowing, ethereal orbs are merging into a single bright sphere near the window. A middle-aged man, the husband/sergeant, looking terrified, is collapsing backward as the intense light from the merged orb seems to physically penetrate his chest. A distraught middle-aged woman, the retired sheriff sergeant, is rushing towards him. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting. An artistic shot depicting the concept of a dimensional rift. The sky above a dense forest is visibly tearing or fracturing, showing glowing, non-earthly light and geometric shapes breaking through. Below, a man in a simple coat, the elderly patient/missing person, is standing, his form slightly transparent and dissolving at the edges, being pulled towards the rift. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting. A cold, snowy forest scene in the deep woods. Scattered on the ground, in a small, pathetic pile are old, worn items of clothing, including boots and a wool coat. There is no sign of a body. The tracks in the snow are confusing, leading nowhere, emphasizing the sudden disappearance. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting. A stark, barren landscape, representing a Wisconsin winter/spring. In the foreground, an upright young man, the young hunter, in period hunting attire is standing still, looking disoriented. His feet are bare and slightly bloody, contrasting with the rough ground. He is completely naked except for a belt or piece of cloth around his waist, emphasizing the stripping paradox. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting. A dramatic, turbulent sky over a large body of water, Lake Superior. A small, old-fashioned fighter jet, like an F-89 or F-94, is banking sharply towards a classic flying saucer-shaped UFO. The two craft are captured just as their outlines begin to blur and merge, surrounded by flashes of strange, non-lightning energy, suggesting a dimensional collapse. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting. A warm, inviting shot of a local community center or a simple grocery store entrance. A person's hand, implied to be the narrator's, is reaching out to gently help an elderly person, not the missing patient, carry a heavy bag of groceries, demonstrating a small act of kindness. The focus is on the human connection and community. Vintage, distressed photograph style, grainy film texture, warm sepia tones, cinematic lighting.